I think the greatest gift any human being has is the ability to transform who they are. The fastest path to $1 million net worth is SMMA, in my opinion. I don't think you can love somebody else until you truly love yourself. I was so desperate as a kid, like I was hopeless. And then 2 days later, God reveals himself to me in a way that I couldn't explain. And it literally made my head hurt, bro. It wasn't like peaceful, it wasn't like amazing. It was like my head hurt because it was a battle. But when you see somebody say something is saturated, they're wrong. They're lying or they're wrong. Markets don't get saturated, offers get saturated, and mindsets within a market get saturated.
Mr. Matt Shields.
Mr. Max, I don't know your last name actually.
That's good.
Okay.
How you doing, man?
Doing great, bro. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. My first podcast. I'm actually shitting bricks. But no, thank you. This means a lot.
Can't wait.
Especially to learn from somebody like you. But for the people that are watching that don't know who you are, could you give a quick 30-second elevator pitch?
Elevator pitch. Well, I have nothing to sell you, so I'm not going to pitch you. But my name's Matt. I dropped out of 9th grade. To just keep the story short, dropped out of 9th grade, found entrepreneurship when I was 17 years old. Started an agency back then, scaled to 6 figures, built a few more. I've ended up building 7 agencies. Number 6, we went from 0 to 300K a month in 1 year. Number 7, we went from 20K a month to 150K a month in 3 months. And then number 8, we just started like 4 days ago. So that's my background. It's been business, it's been building agencies, and it's made me fascinated with how you can transform yourself as a person. Money's one thing, money's cool, but what I've learned is it's all just a reflection of yourself. So everybody asks, how do I grow my business? How do I grow my business? How do I make more money? How do you grow yourself? How do you make yourself a better person? Because your business is going to reflect who you are. So that's what I'm passionate about now. If you could have met me 5 years ago, Max, you would have looked at me and you would have been like, that kid is fucked. like extremely low self-esteem. Very, very dark place. Nobody thought I was going to do something with my life. Nobody. Like my parents, sure, they said, Matt, you can do anything. But even them, I could tell they were like, dude, this kid, he's kind of fucked. Like,
did you have a tough upbringing or?
No.
Okay.
No. Parents divorced. That's about as bad as I got. Like nothing bad. Middle class, but all my struggles were within my own mind.
Okay.
Which I think every
Did you struggle with a lot of mental health or anxiety and all of that? Okay.
Yeah, all that stuff, all those fun things. So business to me was an escape from that, and it led me to just getting a paradigm shifting experience of how you can transform yourself. Okay. I think the greatest gift any human being has is the ability to transform who they are. And so that's been my experience so far.
And you mentioned that you enjoyed the process and the evolution sort of between your personal life and your business. Do you think that your personal growth is more related to your business growth, or do you think as your business grows, you also grow as a person?
That's a really good question. They kind of are synergistic, right? They work together. I think business for me, it gave me an excuse to have to level myself up. Like I could have leveled myself up by going to the gym and doing all these things. That's not necessarily going to make me more money. Business forced me to level myself up, if that makes sense. So I actually think about business as the leading and personal as the lagging.
Okay. And I was doing a little bit of research, and in one of your first ever videos, how you describe your story to where you are now, and we'll get to that in a second, you say that the 3 things that anybody needs to succeed in business is skills, character traits, and their beliefs.
Yeah.
And what's
Hormozy says that, by the way. I stole it.
I didn't. Yeah. What specific character traits do you think are the most important that you've found, especially struggling with a lot of anxiety and overcoming those beliefs that you had?
There's a great book that doesn't get talked about a lot. It's called Grit. It's by a lady named Angela Duckworth. And she studies the most successful people in these different industries. And what she found is the most successful people aren't necessarily the sharpest. They're not the brightest. They're not the most high IQ or even EQ. They're willing to persevere for longer periods of time than normal people are. And so I think the first character trait is resilience. It's grit. It's being able to just get knocked down and get back up every single time, no matter what. And the second character trait I would say for myself has been internal radical honesty. Like being able to really have an honest conversation with yourself. I've found that the more time I spend on social media, the more people I meet, the more events I go to, the more I realize people are great at lying to themselves, myself included.
Yeah.
The greatest shifts I've had, the greatest points of growth I've had in my life came from having a radically honest conversation with myself on the things I didn't want to address. And when I was able to do that, and when I was able to acknowledge that stuff, I was able to actually start working through them and grow past them.
Okay. And what have you found are the best skills that you have personally? Like, is it leadership? Is it the ability to hire? Media buying, whatever it is, because obviously you've gone, from pretty much zero to now being on 8 businesses. What has been the most important to you?
There's one skill that matters above all other skills, and it's the foundation of all business. It's persuasion. Marketing is persuasion. Sales is persuasion. Management, leadership, it's just persuasion. It's all just podcasting is persuasion. I'm trying to persuade people right now, right? You're trying to persuade me with your questions to go a certain direction. The world is just persuasion.
What are you trying to persuade people to do right now?
Buy my course. There is no course, okay? If you couldn't tell. What am I trying? That's an interesting question. I want to persuade people, probably like, if I'm being radically honest, some point of me is trying to make myself look successful. I'm trying to get some sort of confirmation or acceptance from the people listening. Deeper than that, really, what I want to selflessly do is I want to persuade people to realize that it's possible. Mm-hmm. That is the foundation of this entire game.
That what's possible.
Success, not just financial, but personal success. True success is personal. It has nothing to... The idea of success is this mimetic desire of this person that I look up to achieved this financial goal, and so therefore if I want to be successful, I have to achieve what they achieved. That's completely contrary to what success actually is. Success is a personal thing. So even if you attain the financial success, it's not true success because it might not be what you actually want. So I want people to realize that the dream lives that they imagine for themselves are possible, mm-hmm. that they're real. That's what I want to persuade people. And that it might not necessarily be financial. It's a personal thing, and you have to have those honest conversations with yourself to figure out what that metric is going to be, right? If you never stop and ask yourself, what am I playing this game for? You're going to spend the next 10, 20, 30 years chasing something that doesn't even actually mean anything to you.
And you mentioned all your businesses. For me and, a lot of people watching this right now, you're considered a very, very successful person. You make a lot of money, but you don't spend your money. You wear very casual clothes. You don't flaunt it. You got an iPhone 7. What is your definition of success? Because you can do pretty much whatever you want now. Why do you choose to do the things that you do, which is just continuing to scale businesses?
I think success is peace and purpose.
Okay.
I heard Luke Belmar say one time, the most successful man is the man who wakes up with the least amount of pressure on his chest in the morning. I think that's the first element of success. But on top of that, to potentially contradict that, the person who wakes up with the least pressure on their chest must have no purpose. Purpose requires stress. So you should be able to build a life that if you wanted to, could be completely peaceful. But you, out of your own decision-making, decide to go and experience stress. You're not experiencing stress as a byproduct of the world. You're experiencing stress as a byproduct of your own decisions to go out and make something happen and change the world. Purpose, I think, is a fascinating world. Or is a fascinating word, purpose. Everybody asks, how can I be happy? Will money make me happy? Will business make me happy? Happy. It's a bullshit word. It's a bullshit word. Happy, by definition, means a feeling of joy or contentment. It's just a feeling, right? Feelings come and go. They're ephemeral. They're very, very short and impermanent in nature. So happiness is a bullshit word. It's the wrong question. The question is, what will give me purpose? Mm-hmm. Which by definition is the reason for which something exists or is created. Okay. Your purpose is your reason for being here as a human being. So I think the latter half of success is discovering your reason for existence. And I don't think it's money. I don't think it's fucking Lambos. I don't think it's all that bullshit that gets perpetuated on social media. So my definition of success is peace and purpose, and a dichotomy of those two things.
Okay. And what do you say to people that say, follow your purpose over your passion? Or do you have to find a way to incorporate your passion into your purpose?
I think a lot of times they're intertwined and correlated. The things you're passionate about can somehow lead to your purpose, but if I had to choose one, I would choose purpose every time.
Okay.
The man who hasn't found his purpose distracts himself with pleasure. So I'll choose purpose any day of the week. But it's a hard thing to find. It's not easy. It's very easy to get tempted and distracted with the pleasures of the world. But ultimately, that's not what we're here for. We're not here to feel pleasure. We're here to find our purpose and share it into the world.
Speaking of pleasure, do you have a girlfriend?
No.
Don't have a
Speaking
girlfriend.
of pleasure. Is that what his girlfriend is? Pleasure? I've heard some people say the opposite.
So you're just rolling solo at the moment?
I'm riding solo right now. I don't think you can love somebody else until you truly love yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I've spent the last few years creating a self that I can actually love. Otherwise, that girlfriend to me is going to become somebody I'm taking out my own insecurities on. Mm. So I've spent my time building up a life that is ready for somebody else, right? Most people rush into relationships, and sometimes that works, but I knew I wasn't ready for it. I had to do my inner work first.
Okay. So you're waiting until you can improve and be the best version of yourself.
I think I'm ready to start. Like, okay. Look, hey, any beautiful women listening to this podcast,
Matt Shields,
man, I mean,
swipe right on Tinder.
I think I'm ready to some extent. I still have a lot of things I'm working through, but I always will. Mm-hmm. Right? So I'm not ready. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be ready. And I do think I'm getting to that point. And the right woman might actually be able to take me further, mm-hmm. faster than I can go on my own.
You need a rock.
A rock? Yeah. Hopefully she doesn't look like one. But is that going to get me canceled?
You've spent the past couple of years sort of enjoying, the fruits of your labor. You've traveled quite a lot, I assume.
Yeah.
Where's been your favorite spot you've gone to? You mentioned Costa Rica when we were talking earlier.
Costa Rica definitely changed my perspective of the world. Going down there, I was working 70 hours a week at the time.
Okay. Was this in the early stages of what?
This was
next agency?
3 years ago, maybe three years and a few months actually.
Okay.
So I was on like agency number 5 at the time. I was making decent money, but I was burnt out. I was stressed. I was in my head all day long. And I go to Costa Rica and I meet these guys who just spend their lives surfing and going and having acai bowls and laying out in the sun and playing soccer with their boys and living on the beach and just experiencing nothing but happiness. And although that's not the extreme I want, right? I don't just want pure happiness because I think that can take away from purpose. I had so much admiration for these guys who had no money, nothing worldly that I would respect, but they had incredible lives.
And they had their definition of success.
They had their definition of success. And they had such great energy. I was inspired by these people. They had a different energy than any rich, successful millionaire I'd ever met. And it was a more, to me, it's aspiring and inspiring energy than these millionaire gurus that you see online. So I was really taken aback by that. And it changed the way that I view my life. And I realized I want to incorporate this somehow. I need this somehow. And so I was a beach bum basically for a month. And I just surfed all month and I was really bad at it. And I'm still pretty bad at it, but I got better. And I just surfed and I spent my time enjoying and living and actually being free for a little bit. And so it was a very life-changing trip. The second place would be the Arctic Circle, seeing the Northern Lights. That was the number one thing on my bucket list.
Yeah, that's one on mine as well.
Yeah, oh, bro, it was incredible. Doing like snowmobiles and dog sledding and just seeing those green lights.
In Sweden?
Top of Sweden.
Top of Sweden.
Okay. Yeah, top of Sweden. It was a really cool trip. And I'm going to Machu Picchu in 2 weeks.
Oh,
wow. Which is also like, those are the main 2 things I have on my bucket list besides like surfing and Bali. So if I can surf in Bali, then all 3 will be checked off. But I'm excited for that trip. And yeah, that's been some of the travels so far.
Awesome. Do you party?
No.
You don't party?
I used to. I mean, dude, this is part of the mimetic desire thing. I felt like I had to party to be cool. I felt like if I was going to go make money and travel the world, like of course I gotta go to the club, bro.
Pop some bottles.
Of course I gotta pop some bottles. Of course, like
bottle service.
Of course I gotta have girls around me, and I gotta like. That's what I thought. And I would go to the club, and I'd always feel, number one, I can't dance for shit. Okay, so the club is like not where I want to be. I've learned that the hard way. But deeper than that, I realized like I just don't like this environment. I don't like girls shaking their ass. I mean, part of me likes it, if I'm being honest. But that's not the type of women I want to be surrounded by, you know? Like it's and that's the thing about it though, if we're being radically honest, like every part of every man wants that to some extent. But deeper in his core, he knows that's not right.
No,
right? He knows it's not really what he wants. It's not really the woman he wants. So that's how it's so easy to get tricked. It's so easy to go to the club. Some girls throws it back on you. And next thing you know, you're addicted to going to the club and hooking up with random women that you don't actually care about. And so I went through those phases, but ultimately I realized they were fruitless. And it's not what I actually want my life to look like. So I don't go to the club anymore. I don't party. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I just read, listen to music, write, and work.
What music do you listen to?
Worship music.
Worship music?
A little bit of Jack Harlow.
Jack Harlow.
As you found out. A little bit of Jack Harlow. Two different styles of music.
We were jamming to it in the car.
He's got some good stuff.
How did you regain your discipline after going through one of those phases where you were, you know, because you mentioned on, I think it was Brett Malinowski's podcast, you only work 2 hours a week. Is that still the case? Or
I work a little bit more now because we started the new agency, so it's probably like 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how did I regain my discipline?
How did you, after going through the ass shaking and the clubbing and popping bottles phase, what was the thing that clicked in your mind that sort of made you steer away from that?
I don't think it was anything I did. I think somewhere in my mind, God implanted that that's not the way you're supposed to live. And I finally uncovered it. But ultimately, it wasn't my own doing. It was his. And even when I didn't know God at all, I knew nothing about Jesus or anything, part of me just knew, like, this is not the way things are supposed to be. And it took me experiencing those things firsthand to come to that truth.
Did you grow up Christian?
No.
You didn't?
No.
So your family was
atheist, agnostic. Okay. We never went to church. Yeah.
How did you end up finding God?
That's a long story, bro. Short answer or long answer?
Whatever you want to do. We got time. Missed your flight, so
missed my flight for this podcast. So like and subscribe, please. I want to make this a specific video when the time is right, so I don't know how deep I'll go, but
you can give us a short answer.
I always prayed as a kid. I had no idea what I was praying to, but I was so desperate. I was so desperate as a kid. Like, I was hopeless, bro.
For what?
I was desperate to, I think, belong. I was desperate to understand myself. I was desperate to feel like a good person. Mm-hmm. And I was desperate for something bigger than me. And I didn't know what it was, but I always prayed. I had no idea who Jesus was. I had no idea who Muhammad was. I had no idea who the Buddha was. I had no idea about any of that stuff, but I just would wake up every morning and I would pray. And not knowing what it was for, I was planting a very important seed, which is giving gratitude to the thing that makes gratitude possible, which is the thing that created you. And I was just getting in that habit. And I think that over time, even though I was doing it wrong, right? Like, some people say there's no wrong way to pray. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think there are wrong ways to pray. I think I prayed the wrong way for a long time.
What do you think's the wrong way?
Focusing on yourself.
Okay.
And trying to make it all about, God, what can you do for me? Rather than, God, what can I do for you? Mm-hmm. So my prayers were always selfish. And that's how I thought you were supposed to pray. God, give me this. God, give me that. God, I heard somebody say the other day, he always finishes his prayers with, God, may your will be done. May your will be done. And I like to add to that, may I help get your will done in whatever way I can. Because that's what we're here for, to serve God, not serve ourselves. So that I think is the wrong way to pray. But ultimately, because as there's a parable in, I think, the book of Matthew that Jesus tells where he talks about the man sowing seeds along a path. And he says there's a man who comes along and he sows seeds along a path. And some of the seeds get planted on rocks and they sprout up right away because there's no depth of soil. But the minute that the sun comes and scorches the new roots, it scorches away. And the seeds are left fruitless because there was no depth of soil. My faith had no depth of soil because I had no understanding of the Word of God.
You didn't grow up with it. It was kind
Well,
of...
sometimes growing up Christian makes it even worse because you're thrown into a church and you're thrown into a ideology that you actually have no understanding of. You only have what other people have told you.
So you don't have your own thoughts on it.
You don't have your own thoughts or true beliefs on it. But my case was, I had my own thoughts, I had my own beliefs, but they were all wrong because they were based in my own humanly wisdom, not in what is God actually saying. So I didn't understand the Word. I didn't have any sort of relationship with God. I didn't have people around me that strengthened my faith. So although I thought I believed in a higher power, the minute that the sun came and scorched on me, I withered away.
Okay.
And what happened specifically is I went to a retreat in Costa Rica. We were actually having our company retreat. And I was talking to my sales manager who used to be a Mormon and used to be a missionary. And now he's an atheist. And I started talking to him about God. And I started asking him questions. And in like 4 minutes, this guy tells me why God's not real. And he convinces me. 5 years of praying just gone down the drain. Convinces me why God's not real. And it's because I had no depth. So I denounced God the next day. I say, you know what? This whole God thing, it's too complex. It's too tiring. It's too stressful. Like I can't know if you're real. So why am I going to spend the rest of my life tormenting myself? I'm done. I'm just going to be a good person. And that's that. And then 2 days later, God reveals himself to me in a way that I couldn't explain. And then the next day he did the same thing. And it literally made my head hurt, bro. It wasn't like peaceful. It wasn't like amazing. It was like my head hurt because it was a battle. There's a battle on all of us. A battle between the light and the dark, the truth and the lies. Like it was a battle, and I was enthralled by the darkness. That when I saw the light, it hurt, and when I felt the light, it hurt. It wasn't like I immediately went to it, but ultimately it forced me to start searching. And so I started really searching. I started going to church. I started reading the Word. I started going on this journey, and it's changed my life. And it's changed my life so much. And I've had so many weird encounters that I can't explain except through some sort of higher power.
Okay.
And I won't pretend like I fully understand what exactly that is. But I have been led to believe that there is actually something out there greater than ourselves.
Aliens?
And so I hope not. I think it's God.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's God.
So I didn't particularly grow up in a sort of Christian household, a religious household.
Yeah.
My grandparents are very Christian, very religious, but my mom and dad weren't, like very religious. They were just kind of, not atheist, but it was never really mentioned. Like we never went to church and things like that.
Yeah.
And then like 6 or 7 years ago when I went to boarding school in South Africa, it was a Christian school. So all of the schools there have their certain denomination, whether it's Catholic or, Christian, and etc. And I started doing a lot of research into it because I was literally the only person there. Everybody else had grown up in a Christian household because it's a very normal thing, and I was sort of the outsider. And I did my research into it, and I still can't comment on anything. I believe, and I pray sometimes when times get tough and it feels like I have no one else to turn to. But I still don't pray to any specific kind of God at the moment. I'm praying, but I don't know who I'm praying to. Sometimes I feel like it's the universe. I'm asking the universe for guidance and trying to increase my vibe and my energy and whatever. But what would you recommend I can do to strengthen my my belief and actually find something that will make me realize that this is like I need God in my life? Well,
first I have to admit that I'm not the expert on this, and this is all very new to me. But because I've been right where you are, I can let you know at least some of the things I've learned, although I still have so much more to learn. So I want to be clear on that.
How long have you been Christian for?
I don't even know if I would say I'm a Christian.
Okay.
I'm searching and trying to build a relationship with God and Jesus. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if I would say that yet, to be honest. But I've been searching for probably 7-8 months.
Okay.
What can you do to build a relationship with God? What can you do, I guess, rather to start to get clarity around this?
Get clarity, and I don't know if this is just me, but and I don't know if this is, excuse me if this is insulting, but to get proof.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to relate. I don't want to just be praying to, something that doesn't exist.
Oh, dude, I feel you. And honestly, I don't know if my faith is strong enough right now to be the best person to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking for proof too. And the more I look, the more I realize, like, I've gone down the rabbit hole of atheism versus Christianity and the proof for both and the evidence for both and the reasons to support both. And what I've found is you take the best, most brilliant atheists and the most brilliant Christian apologist theists, and you put them up against each other, and at the end of the day, there's going to be no definitive evidence for either. You're not going to have proof that God's not real. You're not going to have proof that he is. That's why it's faith on either side. Faith, some sort of faith is required.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've learned is God, he's really given us free will. So we really ultimately get to choose, right? If he made it so obvious that there was just proof, like Jesus loves you was written in the sky, then it wouldn't be free will, would it? Like, he's telling you, right? And he tells us in subtle ways, but ultimately he lets it be our choice. It's our decision. So I think one of the biggest things I've learned is you have to surrender yourself. You have to surrender all human pride, all ego, all wanting to do it your own way. That's, I think, what God dislikes the most, is when we try to do it on our own, when we have our own pride and we think we can take care of it ourselves. That's why he says the meek will inherit the kingdom of God. The meek, not the strong.
What is the meek?
The meek are the sad, the desperate, the people who need it the most. Paul says I'm reading Corinthians right now, and Paul talks about God favors the foolish to shame the wise. He favors the weak to humble the strong. He doesn't want these. That's why it's so hard for these ultra successful, ultra wealthy entrepreneurs, brilliant minds, philosophers. That's why it's so hard for them to connect, because they aren't able to humble themselves, because they want to do it their own way. Mm-hmm. You have to humble yourself. You have to say, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do it without you. Show me. Let me do what you want me to do. Like, let me really do that, and seek it. The Bible says, seek and you will find, ask and you will receive, knock and it will be open to you. If you truly do that, you will find. Just like King Solomon says in Proverbs, he says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord. He also says, search for wisdom as if it's hidden treasure. So if we think about that, he's saying, search for reasons to fear the Lord as if it's hidden treasure. As if it was actually hidden gold. How hard would you search for it if it was hidden gold? Think about how hard we search to make 10K a month. Think about how hard we work to build a following.
The Holy Grail.
Think about how hard we work to impress women that we give two shits about, or buy nice things that mean nothing. We work so hard. We search so hard for those things, yet we won't even search for the thing that created us. The reason that all those things exist in the first place, our priorities are backward. And it's because of society. It's because of the world we've been thrown into. So I would challenge you, Max, start thinking about searching for the thing that created you, whatever it may be. Search for it as if it is truly a hidden jewel, a hidden gem, as if it's treasure. Because if you will work this hard to make money, how hard would you work to build a relationship with the thing that put us on this planet? I mean, think about how crazy of a claim that is.
Yeah.
You can know the thing that created you. You can have an eternal life after with that thing. Think about that.
Have a relationship with it.
Exactly. So how hard would you work for that if you would work this hard to make 10K a month? That's what I would challenge you to think about.
I want to move on to a little bit more business stuff.
Sure.
You're a business guy. I'm into business. We're here in Scottsdale, Arizona. My first time in the States. Do you think SMMA is the best beginner option to start a business?
I think agencies, specifically SMMA, are the fastest path. The fastest path to liquid millionaire is SMMA. The fastest path to million dollar net worth is SMMA, in my opinion.
How did you get into it? How did you find it?
I was watching videos on YouTube when I was 17, desperate as fuck, as I've mentioned, trying to find a way to make money online. And I was like, man, I need something. Another reason that I feel like God really helped me is he led me to that stuff. But anyway, you want to talk about business? We'll talk about business. And I come across these videos about drop shipping. I start watching these like 18-year-olds in Bali drop shipping, making $100,000 a month. And I'm like, oh, drop shipping. That sounds sick. I could do this. Let's check out this drop shipping thing. I start studying it for a few days, and then I see a video that says, drop shipping is dead in 2018. Drop shipping saturated. Don't go into drop shipping. And it was some dude trying to peddle like Amazon FBA or some crap. And that was 5 years ago, just for perspective for people. When you see somebody say something is saturated, they're wrong. They're lying or they're wrong. Markets don't get saturated. Offers get saturated. And mindsets within a market get saturated. So I saw these dropshipping videos and I saw, oh, it was saturated. And my naive brain said, oh, I guess it's saturated. I won't do it. But I was in the algorithm of make money online.
Yeah.
So then I saw SMMA and I said, all right.
Dangerous place to be.
It's a dangerous place to be, bro. Luckily, I'm not in that algo as much anymore, but I'm sure it's no better. But luckily, I started to find SMMA content. And I see this guy named Billy Wilson. And I watch his videos, and he talks about dropping out of college with a 4.0 his last semester and starting an online business. He went viral. He dropped out of Kansas State. He went all over the internet, and he started a marketing agency for local businesses. And he ran Facebook and Instagram ads for them. And he scaled it to like $20K a month. And he was like 20 years old or something. Jeez. And I watched Billy, and he was kind of shy. He's kind of awkward on camera. He wasn't like your typical freaking guru, you know? He wasn't flashing these shiny things. He was just providing value, and he seemed very genuine, and I felt like I could trust him. And more importantly, I saw myself in Billy. Like, I saw some of myself in who he was, and that made me believe in it that much more. That's the thing about these gurus. Like, they're these inspiring people, but most of their supporters and followers don't even see themselves in them. And that's why there's a gap that is stopping them from becoming anything like them. It's because they can't see, like, it's hard for people to see themselves in Iman Gadzhi. Yeah. It's hard for people to see themselves in Andrew Tate. But I saw myself in Billy. I ended up getting hit with one of his ads, bought his course, and started my agency running Facebook ads for gym owners. And it's been history ever since.
Okay. How did you learn media buying? Because I struggle with Facebook ads are a bitch.
I learned media buying partially through Billy's course. There was good information on it. Okay. A lot of YouTube videos. I went into Facebook groups and I asked people their templates and strategies, and I was just very active on learning the thing. The best way I learned media buying really, though, was just doing it.
Just doing it, yeah.
Just actually getting reps in and learning how to optimize, discovering my own tricks, talking with other media buyers. And it's honestly, it's not that complex of a thing. It seems scary because there's a lot of buttons. There's a lot of things to click. But ultimately, when you have the basics down, it becomes a pretty easy thing to pick up on.
Okay. Your description on your YouTube channel says this, and I quote, "When I was 17 years old, I bought a $597 course on how to build an SMMA."
Yep.
Love it, that. 4 years later, I made over $4 million from your agency, traveled the world, and completely changed who I was and how I lived. This channel is dedicated to giving that all back. How did it change who you were as a person? Did it give you more resilience, or was it an escape from something else you were dealing with, or a way to prove people wrong?
All of the above.
All of the above.
It gave me a sense of confidence. It gave me a sense of resilience. It gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense of excitement and adventure. It was all of the above.
Okay.
All of the above.
What was your parents' reaction to you taking this unconventional path of the weird world of internet money?
Well, I mentioned this yesterday when we were in the group setting, and you know, I was in a dark place, as I've alluded to, and I was just very hopeless. Like I thought life sucked. I thought life was meaningless. I thought life was a terrible tragedy, and I thought there was nothing I could do to change it. That's where I was at. And my parents knew that, right? That's part of why I left school in 9th grade. So they already knew I was in a dark spot. And they were already worried about me. So when I came to my mom and I told her when I was 17 years old, I walked downstairs and I say, Mom, can I talk with you for a second? And she says, sure, what's up? Like casual. And I'm like, can you sit down? And she was like, oh crap. And I sit down at the kitchen table with her and I say, Mom, I'm not going to college. I found a course online that's $600. I want to buy it and I want to build a marketing agency for local businesses. And
Dumbest idea you ever did.
you would think, right? And she looked at me and she started crying. And I could just see these tears kind of fill up her face. And I started crying too because of just where I was at. It was so dark. It was so desperate that I knew she was scared for me just as much as I was scared for myself. Mm-hmm. But she eventually capitulated and she said, all right, there's clearly nothing I can do to convince you otherwise. She said, Matt, go to school and get a marketing degree. Then you can do this after. I said, Mom, I'm not doing that. There's no way. I have to take this course and I need you to believe in me. Because sometimes you need somebody to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And I felt like I didn't really have anybody who did that, to be honest with you, Max. But I bought the course and it's been history ever since. But the reaction was very negative. The reaction was, but the beautiful thing in that is it gave me so much motivation. Yeah. Because when I saw my mom cry because of a decision I was making, I said, all right, I don't care what I have to do. I don't care how hard I have to work. I will never see that look on my mom's face again. And I committed to that. And I started working 70, 60 hours a week as a 17-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. And I made sure that no matter what happened, I would never see that look on my mom's face again. At least not because of my own doing.
And what does she think now?
She's one of our clients. She's a real estate agent.
Oh, yes, you mentioned
that.
Yeah,
we made our mom. We made my mom $60,000 off like 4K in ad spend. 60K profit.
Jeez, dude.
4K in ad spend.
Do you charge your mom?
No. Nope. So she's wanted to start businesses with me. She's, told me she's proud of me, and it's all good.
What about your dad?
My dad, corporate America, HR guy. Okay. Like, he also wanted me to go to college, and he was also worried about me. But I think he really wanted to support me. Mm-hmm. And so he did, even though I know he didn't want to. He wanted to support me, but he would have much rather supported me going to college. Oh. So it was hard for him. But he ultimately gave me his verbal support, at least. Whether it was genuine or not, I don't know. But he was at least trying. Okay. And my mom tried to support me too. It was much harder for her. Now my dad is, he's been the greatest mentor I've had in my entire life. I'm very close with him. Okay. He tells me constantly how proud he is of me. He never hesitates. He never waits to tell me how much he loves me, how proud he is of me, how grateful he is for the change that I've made in my life. I think he's somewhat shocked by it, to be quite honest with you. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes he's like, he'll start just laughing. He'll be like,
this is crazy.
What has happened to you? And it's never really sunk in for me. Like, I thought I would have a moment where one day he'll say that to me and I'll just start like crying. It hasn't happened, because I think as human beings, we're adaptive creatures. So we just get used to the environments that we create for ourselves. And I think that's what I've done. But he's proud of me now. He's very proud of me, and I'm very grateful for him. He's helped me a ton too. He's been one of the best, not only personal coaches, but business coaches that I've ever had. So yeah, that's the family dynamic. My friends, they all laughed at me when I bought the course. My brother laughed at me. I laughed with him. Like, I was just kind of like, yeah, dude, hey, I get it. This is kind of fucking crazy. SMMA, and that was all the more motivation to prove every single person wrong. Every single one.
Yeah.
Not a single person said it was a good idea. Not one person said it was a good idea. And that gave me more people to prove wrong. More senses of motivation to go out there and accomplish something and say, you guys were wrong. And that's all it was.
Do you consider yourself a guru at this point?
I guess it depends on how you define guru. I hate the word. Freaking hate the word, dude. Just like I hate SMMA. Such a dumb acronym, dude. I don't know how you would define guru. I consider myself
Knowledgeable on the subject.
on SMA, sure.
Okay.
Sure. I think after 8 agencies, it's fair to say I know how to build an agency. Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
I want to get into this, but I don't want to take too long on it because I know everybody asks this question. Everybody wants to know. Okay, obviously we're at a coaching event now. What are your thoughts on it? And why aren't you doing it? Because you're currently building your personal brand. And you did an interview, I think it was yesterday, a quick interview for a reel with a guy, Yusuf, who's here. And you said, money only does so much, okay? So that's why you're building your brand. But if it's not money, then what else is your brand going to do for you? Or is it more you're building your brand so that you can do things for other people?
It's both.
Okay.
Right? Like, there's no such thing as a selfless act. Everything is selfish. Donating to charity is selfish. You do it to make yourself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do is for ourselves. People will take that out of context and they'll say, no, there's no way. Well, yes, there's such a thing as selfishness, which is you do something for someone else that deeply fulfills you, deep down. And then there's selfishness, which is I punch you in the face because it makes me feel good, which it probably wouldn't. But you know what I mean? Like there's selfishness. And I think personal branding for me is a selfless selfishness. It's something for other people that deep down makes me feel better about myself. As far as the coaching and all that stuff, to come back to the Bible for a second, because I know you want me to. Paul talks about in the Bible, he talks about helping the Christians grow their faith. And then he talks about whether or not it's right for them to financially compensate him in some way for that help. And he says, if I can help you spiritually, is it not fair that you return to me materially? Mm-hmm. And he basically makes the claim of, people who preach the word of God should receive compensation for preaching the word of God. That should be their living. And he's justifying that. And then he says, but when it comes to me, my brothers and sisters, don't think that these words are for myself. He goes on to say, I don't want anything from you because I want there to be no reason that you could possibly condemn the faith that is within me, that you could try to twist it in any way, shape, or form and say that it's for my own self-fulfilling reasons. So he didn't take money from people. He didn't take their materialism. So the reason that I don't do coaching right now is because although I think it's perfectly fine and acceptable, I don't want anybody to be able to hit me with, you have a personal brand, you make content so you can make money from young, impressionable kids. Like, you can't say that to me.
Yeah.
You can't say that to me. So I'm sure I'll create a software or some maybe inner circle with like 10, 15 guys. I'm sure I'll do something eventually.
But nothing mainstream.
But nothing mainstream, and that's not the purpose for this right now.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And if I feel led to a certain offer that I really think will help people, I'll do it. If I really think it's going to help people. But right now, I just want to do it for fun and see what happens and comes from it. And have trust that the right thing will reveal itself at the right time.
Okay. You co-founded an app. Did you not?
You did your research. Damn, dude, you're hitting me with Nardwaar on your first podcast. Let's go. Creatorify?
Yes.
Yeah.
Creatify.
How'd you know about that? Well done. That's sick. I did, and it failed super miserably. But yeah, no, I tried. Co-founding's a strong word based on what we actually did. It never even got off the ground.
Well, it was social media for business owners or like social media influencers?
Yeah, so here was the idea. I think it was a good idea. But, nobody else did. Well, actually, the idea is easy. The execution's the hard part. But the idea was we're going to combine LinkedIn with Tinder, and we're going to create a swiping networking site for content creators to network with each other, to collaborate with each other, to build their foundations of their network. Because how do content creators meet each other, right? You could DM each other, but your DMs are flooded if you're a successful content creator. So we were going to tier the app to where content creators with a certain amount of followers would get thrown into certain categories. So if you're above 1 million, then you meet all the other creators that are above 1 million.
Okay.
If you're, below that, you network with everybody below that. So that was the idea. But ultimately I hired the wrong person to build it and it failed miserably.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was like 4 years. That was after 3 agencies.
Okay. Now that you are on number 8 and you are making more money and you've got a little bit more, knowledge in business and stuff, and you also mentioned you want to get into software.
Yeah.
Do you think it's something you'd launch again or try and do it
Not
better?
Not that software.
Oh,
Heck no. If you to build a software, you want to have industry expertise.
Okay.
I had no understanding of content creation or being a creator back at that time. I have a little bit now, I guess, but I'm not passionate enough about it to want to solve that problem.
Okay.
I would want to solve something probably for agency owners.
Okay. You got any ideas? Nothing that you can talk about? Is it under wraps at the moment?
It's under wraps.
Okay.
It's under wraps. We're working on it.
Okay.
Yep.
You gonna make a video on it soon?
Depends if I end up wanting to build it or not. I don't know. I'm not rushing any next business moves right now. I'm really focused on
This next agency?
trying to find God.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really focused on that and enjoying life for a little bit.
Do you mind me asking how much money you make?
Yeah, so we have 2 active agencies right now, and then the 3rd agency just started, so it makes no money. Agency number 6, Estate AI, our main agency, does about $2 million a year.
Oh wow.
2.5 million a year. Agency number 7, we're doing about 150K a month right now, but I'm an advisor in that. So to be quite honest, it's not like I take home a ton of profit from that.
Okay.
Although it is a way more profitable agency. So unfortunately I didn't get more active in it because we do like 100K a month profit off 150. Wow. So it's an awesome agency.
What's your take home from all of that?
Take home from all that? Estate AI, we did like 800,000 profit first year.
Oh, wow.
But I have business partners. The agencies I'm advising, I have phantom equity. So where I make my real money is in selling the agency.
Okay.
Right. So I have like 15% phantom equity in one of them. And then I have phantom equity in the new agency number 8. I have 20% phantom equity. So my goal is to help these guys build it, sell it in 1 year for 2 to 3 million, take home 20%, 15%, quick, 400K per sale. And then I get a retainer as well. One guy's paying me $10,000 a month right now
for coaching,
just to help him.
Advising.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be clear, like it's not even really coaching. It's like I'm partnered with him.
Yeah.
I'm recruiting for him. If you go on my Instagram, the only thing I really post is hiring posts.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what they offered me to partner with them. And I didn't go out to either of those guys. They met me at an event and they said, dude, how much to get you as a coach? I said, guys, I don't coach. And they said, what if we made you a partner? And I said, all right, I'm listening. So it's not a coaching program or anything like that. It's not something you can sign up for or pay me for. Unless I know you personally, I probably won't even have the conversation, to be quite honest. But I knew both these guys. Okay. I liked them and I saw a lot of potential in them. And I said, yeah, I'll take on another agency. Let's build it. And copy and pasted the framework to see if it would work. And we went from 20 to 150 in 3 months. So it worked.
That's fast.
Pretty fast.
What does the hiring process look like for that? Because I think that's a skill that you've almost mastered at this point, especially with...
Far from mastered, but gotten better at. And hiring is one of the most important parts of scaling an agency. There's this idea of never stop selling, never stop recruiting. Yeah. And that's the path to 8 figures. If you just do nothing else but never stop selling your product, never stop recruiting your people, you will scale. Okay. And get rid of all other distractions. So never stop recruiting. What do we do to make that effective? First, just like sales, you need a consistent influx of leads. Most people don't have good hires because they don't have enough recruits. They don't have enough candidates. So having constant postings on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, Upwork, hiring recruiters, we just are investing in bringing in candidates at all times to where we always have somebody coming to us who wants to work with us in a certain position. Okay. That's great leverage as a company to always have talent coming to you. So that's the first part. You need to be marketing your business to candidates just like you market to customers. Okay. The second part is, okay, now that you have these recruits, what do you do? How do you find the right one? My dad, the HR guy I was telling you about, he has probably hired over like 500 people. He has so much experience on hiring, and I always thought he had the most boring job in the world until I had to hire somebody. And then I started begging him for his advice. I was like, Dad, please help me. What do I do? And he gave me so much sound knowledge. And I think one of the best things that he told me that I've heard other great CEOs and entrepreneurs mirror is hire for somebody who already has proven success in the role.
Okay.
Right? So you can buy talent or you can build talent. You can hire people who have a lot of potential. They have a spark in their eye. They seem like they could be great, and you can try to build them up, or you can just hire somebody who already has proven that they can do the thing successfully and bring them into the team. And you pay a little bit more for that person, but they already have a proven success rate.
Yeah.
So we hire for people who already have success in the role. You're hiring a salesperson. Have they been a successful salesperson? You're hiring a media buyer. Have they already been a successful media buyer?
Okay.
So that's a big thing right there. And then on top of that, being very diligent with your interviewing process. If somebody hops on one interview with them and you give them the job, they're going to think this is a BS type of place to work, right? We make people go through 3, 4, 5 interviews to get at the company. We just brought on an ops manager at agency number 7, and the guy was like, I really appreciate your guys' thoroughness in the interviewing process. I'm glad to be here. And he could tell, like, this isn't an easy place to get a job at.
Yeah.
So we're very thorough, and every time that we hire somebody and we say, well, why should we hire this person? We also ask, why shouldn't we? Mm-hmm. And having that conversation, that uncomfortable conversation, why shouldn't we hire this person, is going to help you make the right hire. The last thing I'll leave you with, because I do think this is a really important topic, I want to tell you how Jeff Bezos hires people. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's fuck all how I hire people.
You base a lot of your research and the way that you practice business upon billionaires.
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
At the end of the day, do you want to learn do you want to learn business from the 10K a month, 100K a month, even 300K a month guy, or do you want to learn business from the people who have built $1 billion business?
Fair enough.
Like, do you want to learn how to shoot a basketball from Kyrie Irving or from your high school point guard?
I don't know. Dude, you were slotting shots yesterday in the match we were playing. Jeez.
So, I study a lot of billionaires because they know the game better than anyone else. The way Jeff Bezos hires people, and I find this fascinating, he has something that has been coined anti-entropy hiring. Entropy is the second law of thermodynamics. It's the idea that the more units you add to a closed system, the more complex that system becomes. Okay. For example, in this house, if there was only one person, it's pretty chill. It's a big house. We can fit that person, no problem. You put 30 people in this house, you're adding more adding more units to a closed system, the house starts to become a little bit more chaotic. A company's the same way. So the more people that you add to a company, the more complexity that company incurs. So anti-entropy is essentially avoiding complexity as you scale up the units or the people within a company. The way Jeff does this, he says 3 things to every hiring manager when they're going to bring on a new person. He asks them these 3 questions. Number 1, do you admire this person? Is this a person that you admire, right? That you look up to in some way, shape, or form, that you really respect? Do you admire them? Number 2, on what scale could this person be a superstar? At what potential could they be incredible and go beyond just good, but great in this company and in this role? Number 3, most importantly, do they raise the collective productivity of the unit they're going into? Will they make the team better or worse? That's anti-entropy, right? Because if you can't confidently say they will make the entire team better, then you're incurring entropy, and things are going to become more chaotic, more complex, because you've hired somebody that is bringing more complexity to the team, to the organization. But if they raise the productivity of the unit, then they're making the company better, less complex. So that is the biggest tip I've ever learned to hire the right person is, will they make the company better or will they make the company worse? Tactically, what we try to use at our agency is this person better than the last person we hired in the same role? Okay. And that's the secret. Is this media buyer better than the last media buyer? If not, we don't hire them until we find somebody better. Then every hire is better than the last one.
And you just scaling up.
You just scale up, dude.
Yeah.
You scale up, and your company becomes like those Russian babushka dolls, right? And you just like take one out, to where your first hire is the mini one that goes inside, and everyone gets bigger and
Till you
bigger
get to
and
the
bigger
big
until you
mama.
have a company of giants.
Okay. So it's almost like the more moving parts there are, the more shit can go wrong.
100%.
Okay. Well, Matt, I think you've dropped some absolute gems on here. I've learned a lot personally, genuinely. I mean that. And
How do you feel?
Dude, I feel good.
You crushed it, dude.
Really?
You crushed it. That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I had a ton of fun talking to you, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you, especially for someone of, your caliber in the niche, to be here with all of us. I'm the youngest guy here. I'm 19, just fresh 19.
Yeah.
I'm also the least successful, but
Not for long.
not for long. That's fucking balls to the wall from here.
Let's
dude.
go.
But thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I consider you a friend now.
I consider you a friend as well, bro.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. And guys, if you want to check out his channel or his Instagram or whatever, I'll check everything below. You can go buy his course.
Again, there's no course. Just being clear on that.
Matt, thank you very much. I
Thank
really
you, Max.
appreciate it.
Pleasure,
Thank you
man.
so much.
Pleasure. Awesome.